Wait, how does our theme song go?
Oh, God.
She's like, how old are you? And he's like, old enough to party. If you're in high school for 100 years, that's...
It would kill you on the inside. And Sin's got a butthole, okay? He's got a butthole hovering over them. I'm calling it a butthole. I don't know if that's a butthole.
Hi, I'm Ammiel.
Hi, I'm Melissa.
Welcome to Click and Flick.
Welcome to Click and Flick, where we talk about video games and movies.
Yeah.
And it's the best.
We talk about the best, the worst, and the most medium video games and movies out there.
Yes.
And we give them a rating at the end based on just our own emotions and
opinions.
And if we're in a good mood that day or not.
How it made us
so
tingle
really,
inside.
You know, they're just ratings that are kind of random numbers thrown out there sometimes, you know?
Exactly.
So today, so thanks for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoy. Go ahead and subscribe to the podcast if you like what you hear.
And follow.
We really appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. And you can always give us recommendations or feedback via email. That's clickandflickpodcast@gmail.com. Hi.
That's right. So, hit us up, guys.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear from you.
Ka-chow.
Ka-chow.
All right. And this week we're going to start off with the flick.
With our flick.
About. Mm-hmm.
So this week's flick is... Oh, I didn't look up the year it came out.
Oh, 2008.
2008. Hit cult classic that took the world by storm. Twilight.
I feel like I don't want to take it seriously, but I want to. Like, I want to be on that side of history. You know what I mean?
It's not fair because it's like, they didn't even take it that seriously making the movie, so do we have to take it seriously, like, talking about it?
Oh, you're so right. Anyway.
The first thing I want to say is the part where Bella is in the diner and she takes the ketchup bottle and literally goes like this and no ketchup comes out because it's a squeeze bottle and she just goes like this and then puts it back down and starts eating her fries. That's just... Anyway. That's just the kind of movie it is, I think, you know? That's just like
I think they had a purpose. Detail. Yeah, they had a purpose and direction that they were trying to mark. Definitely. And that was their goal.
Right.
Nailed it.
That was their bar. And they excelled, I would say.
Yes.
So Bella, from the beginning, Bella is a typical girl who's not like other girls from Phoenix who moves to Forks, Washington, where she hates everything about it because it's wet and cold, and she hates everything cold.
I thought the beginning of the movie was beautifully shot, by the way. I think they captured... I thought it was going to be great. Watching the beginning scenes, I was like, yes, they're going to do such a good job.
Did you see this movie when it came out in theaters?
Mm-hmm. I did.
Did you read the books before?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I actually read New Moon before Twilight.
You read the book New Moon before you read Twilight? Mm-hmm. Oh, interesting. So I have to ask then, are you more Team Jacob?
I honestly couldn't choose. I liked them both when I read the books. But I was so team like Emmett and Carlisle, it was not even funny. now present day 2021, I am a Charlie girl. But
oh, for sure. Yeah.
Anyway, who are you?
Because Mama needs a daddy, right?
Mama needs a daddy.
So Bella's the new girl in town, and she's like new at school. She meets like this guy who's like the like school newspaper.
Oh yeah.
He's like one of the first people she meets, and what's like if you don't know that like this, like Bella is just like a total like self-insert character for Stephenie Meyers, where it's like
yeah.
She's just like, wow, I'm not like other girls. Like, she's like, oh no, I'm a quiet girl. Like, Bella is the embodiment of that Ben Shapiro meme where he's like, when I would go to parties in college, I would bring a book because if people were boring, I would just sit and read. Like, Bella literally several times in the movie is like, oh, you guys are boring, I'd rather read, and like go to a bookstore or like it's like reading a book in front of her friends.
Yep.
Like
100%.
You normal people are so boring.
Stephenie Meyer, come on.
So Bella's all, oh no, please. I'm the quiet girl. Like, I don't want to make a big scene. And the guy's like, oh, well then I guess we're not going to put you on the front page cover. And she's like, oh my God, no, the front page, please don't. You would never. Like, no, they wouldn't. You think you're that important? What school, like, makes a front page story of every new kid that shows up in March? She gets there in the middle of March. The school year ends in May.
Apparently, Forks High School, but here we are.
Yeah, so by the way, remember, she's there in the middle of March. She gets there. So this whole love story, this whole movie is over the span of 2.5 months.
I didn't realize that. Wow.
Because it ends at prom, which is like end of May, right?
That's true.
Is it end of May or like middle of May?
Probably like middle of May.
Proms are like end of May, right? Middle?
Yeah,
I guess it depends on the school district. Mm-hmm. But it's like May-ish is when prom usually is. So we know that like she hasn't, like, it's only 2 months that she's there this whole time. But anyways, so she's like, I'm quiet and I like to read and I'm really clumsy. Oh my God.
Oh yeah, the clumsiness is so overplayed.
Like freaking every girl that's like the ingenue, the like romantic interest is like, oh my God, I'm so clumsy.
I don't know what's worse is that it's like it's not portrayed that way, but it's that awkward sense of like, oh, I just tripped. Oh God.
Right. Well,
I'm like doing a bunch of weird things. We'll
get to it, but there's a part where she trips that Edward gets like really mad at her for tripping. I'm like, boy, you tripping. So she's at school and she's talking with some other girls, and they're like telling her about the Cullens as they walk in. And she's like, oh, they're this family. This is so crazy to even have this thought, right? Of this like family where the adopted siblings are dating each other. What kind of, but you're my stepsister, like porn is Stephenie Meyer watching to like have these thoughts? Like, they're not actually brother and sister. But they all walk in and it's like, that's Emma and Rosalie. They're together. That's Alice and Jasper. They're together.
I don't know.
And the school and everyone in the town is just like, yep. It's like a small town.
Right. They're probably not asking questions because it is that small town. Like, they're probably all talking about it, but they're not saying anything.
Right, for sure. But the fact that they all also, like, love them just shows how powerful their powers are to draw people in. Because even with how weird they are and how much people talk shit about them, at the same time they're like, oh wow, the Cullens.
They're so adored. Yeah.
Yeah, but they definitely are like it's weird to like date your siblings, so I don't know why that was like what they decided to be their alias.
You know what? It's hilarious because
they couldn't pretend to be. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's fine. Just because it's not something that I took into consideration while reading the book. Seeing the movie, different vibe, 100%.
Because it's like visual. It's like right there in front of you. Yeah.
Whatever. Anyway, keep going.
I was gonna say, shoot, what was I gonna say?
Dating your sibling.
Oh, but like, who thinks of that idea? Like, oh, this is the perfect plan for us to stay hidden for hundreds of years. You guys will pretend to be in high school the whole time and be dating each other. That won't raise any questions. Like,
no.
They're all old enough to, at least you could be like, oh, Edward is still in high school. He's a senior. Right. These ones graduated, and these are our adult children and their spouses from another family. They're not siblings.
Right. I agree. Isn't Bella Jr. in this book? I think she is, and then in
she
New
must
Moon, she
be,
graduates.
Because I guess then yes, because it's the next book. She's still in high school, so she must be a junior.
Okay.
Still, I guess she's like 16. I thought she was 17, but maybe she's like 16, which is even yikes. Or anyway,
yeah.
As we go on, but so they meet the Cullens, this amazing family. And she ends up having to sit next to Edward in biology class, where the whole time he is like staring at her like death stare because she's too distracting for him to be educated.
Ding, ding, ding. We have just
leads. Girls, just know your power, okay? You can't be distracting men. They can't help it.
Dress
and this clearly illustrates it with Edward's just primal, animalistic draw to Bella's scent. He only wants one thing. Her blood.
And one thing only.
Just that whole scene is like this whole movie. Anyways,
I know
Edward is not. Anyways, let me keep going. So after that whole debacle where he like refuses to look away from her during class, and he's like really freaking her out and stuff for good reason because he's staring at her, and she's like, dude, what the hell?
Yep.
He like tries to change classes, and she catches him in the office trying to get transferred to a different class, but then he just disappears from school for like completely for a couple weeks or something. So she gets there at the end of March, and then he's gone for 2 weeks. So then now it's the beginning of April. So let's just keep a timeline of their relationship. Like, let's just remember this, okay?
Fair. So good. I'm glad you're bringing that as a point, because, again...
he meets her at the end. So now it's the beginning of April. They have had one exchange where he stared at her like a creep. And he now starts, like, interrogating her about, like, anything and everything. And she's just like, oh, wow, he's so handsome. I'm going to tell him everything.
So dreamy.
So dreamy. And...
mind you, that whole exchange is painful to watch. It's horrid.
Yeah. So much of it, not only because already is the dialogue, like, super awkward in this movie on its own, then the whole, like, very, I don't know, Edward's supposed to be 100 years old, but he is so immature. Like, what kind of 100-year-old man makes a 17-year-old responsible for his emotions? But that's later on.
I mean, so. I'm not gonna. Okay.
A 16-year-old child. I'm sorry. No, a 100-year-old man who's falling in love with a 16-year-old child.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. I just read Midnight Sun, like a couple months ago. And the reason he is so immature is because he had human blood from that, like, I mean, he mentions it, like, later on. But, like, he had human blood for a section of his, like, newborn life when he was first turned into a vampire. So, spoilers. And,
we're getting deep into the Twilight lore now.
I gotta hit it, you know what I mean? I gotta at least, like,
I don't know any of this, so go ahead. I'm supposed to be the expert.
Oh, really?
I haven't read Midnight Sun, so... I stopped after the short second life of Bree Tanner.
Oh, fair. Oh my god. Fair. But yeah, he's just, like, so immature because he had human blood.
Because he still has human blood?
He had the taste of it. Way back earlier.
Oh, because he ate humans.
Yes.
Because he ate human
blood.
But, like, that...
It's not an excuse.
That's
not... I'm just saying.
That's still not an excuse for his, like, manipulative behavior. I feel like that is... That's him being immature in a vampire sense, but he's also immature in, like, a man sense.
Yeah. He has a very lackluster of human, or of life experience, I should say.
Right? And for being around 100 years, I guess if you're in high school for 100 years, that's...
It would kill you on the inside, literally.
Yeah, I guess you can't expect much from someone. Anyway. So then the van crash happens, where he's across the parking lot, and someone almost hits Bella with the van, and he, like, he, like, runs across and is like, and saves her.
You know, there's that TikTok going around, what's the best 5 seconds of cinematic history?
Is that what
You need to make a TikTok of that. Oh, golly.
Oh my gosh. So he saves her and then proceeds to gaslight her. Yes. She's like, how'd you get across the parking lot so fast? He's like, what do you mean I was right next to you? And she's like, no, you were on the way on the other side. And he's like, oh, really? Well, no one's gonna believe you. Oh my god. And she's like, I just have to say, like, there are so many exchanges that he is being a total asshole to her.
Mm-hmm.
And so few, like, any exchange where he's being, like, somewhat nice to her is, like, the smallest amount of kindness.
Right.
Like,
right.
hidden under layers of, like, abuse and, like, lies and manipulation. And, like, honestly, I get it. I get why she falls in love.
You're like, oh.
I'm all, my type.
I mean, why do you think all these females were so gung-ho?
I'm like, oh, please. Oh, say something mean to me, Edward. Ooh, unhealthy. But anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So then they're on the field trip and she trips and he, like, grabs her arm and is like, oh my god, can you please, like, try to watch where you're looking every once in a while? You stupid, ugly bitch. Oh my god, what is wrong with you? And then he's so like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I'm rude, but I just think it's the only way to get through to you. Please, daddy, don't pull out.
Mind you, that bit is not in the book, okay? Not mean. Oh, God.
So she's like, oh my god, you're so mean to me. Do you want to go on a beach trip with us? And
yes,
he's all,
please come.
Maybe. Yeah, I'd love to come. And then doesn't show up. And then doesn't text her that he's not going to show up. Just, like, totally, what's that word? Stood up.
Ghosted, yeah.
So then she's in the dress shop with her friends looking for prom dresses. And she's like, actually, you guys are kind of boring. I'm going to go to the bookshop.
Oh, God, yes.
And so she goes to the bookshop, and because she's dumb and is like walking around a city by herself in the middle of the night and like abandons her friends, she gets jumped
walking
by a bunch
down
of
an alley
guys.
too.
She decides to cut down an alleyway.
I'm sorry, but I was
Luckily
always told never.
Who has she ever seen a movie? I don't know.
yeah. Or
her mom is supposed to be dumb too, but the way that women are portrayed in this book as just like dumb and stupid and clumsy and needing like some kind of
a masculine.
She needs a vampire or a werewolf or a mummy to come save her all the time, like
a mummy. A fucking gnome or an imp would be great, like every once in a while.
Like Frodo. Just any mythical creature. Can some mythical creature come help this poor, like, clumsy, stupid woman? Like, a normal man is not gonna cut it because she's that dumb and stupid and clumsy.
Yep. Could you imagine Stephanie Meyer writing, like, some kind of centaur porn or something? Like,
she said that she wrote this because she had a dream about vampires. So, you know, who knows what dreams she has in the future.
Centaurs are
I'm here for it. She had an alien book.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
Yeah. Which I know nothing about, but anyway. So Edward now is not only lying to her, gaslighting her, physically grabbing her and pushing her around, but now we also find out that he's stalking her because he saves her from these guys. Luckily, he was stalking her because if she didn't have a stalker, no one would have been there to save her.
Yep. 100%. She would have been dead grass at that point.
Yikes.
But here we are.
So he saves her, and then he's, like, so mad. He's like, oh, those guys, they wanted to do such horrible things to you. I'm so mad. And driving so fast, and she's like, oh my god. Slow down. And he's like, you need to distract me. Talk about something else. Like, this is a 16-year-old. This is a 17-year-old child. You are a 100-year-old man. Why does she have to calm you down and distract you in this situation? You should be the, like...
You know
she's
why?
She's the one who was just being attacked.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly.
And now you're, like, you're putting her in this situation where she's, like... First of all, you've never been nice to her. She doesn't know you that well. Mm. This still is, like, April or something. Like, you've known each other for a few weeks at this point.
Yeah.
Hey.
Hey.
Hey. So
Bella knows what she wants.
Bella...
Or does she?
When you know when it's true love, you just know. You just know you know. You know.
No, you know.
When you know it's a vampire, you know. So she actually does know that he's a vampire because those books that she got at the bookstore luckily told her that he's a vampire. So she she and him end up in the middle of the woods together. And she's like confronting him about being a vampire, but not looking at him.
Yeah.
She's like staring into the woods and he's like 10 feet behind her. And she's like, how long have you been 17? He's like, longer than you, bitch. She's like, how old are you? And he's like, old enough to party.
If Twilight was made in 2021. Honestly.
So then he's like, you don't understand. I want to kill you. And she's all, okay, I love you. He's like, okay, but I want to kill you. And she's all, I trust you.
Red flag, like, number 18.
Girl,
here we are.
There are so many red flags. It's like a red flag factory in this book, okay? This is where they were manufactured.
Yeah.
So anyways, now that they've been dating for 2 weeks, she's a part of the family, and the Cullens are like, all right, we have this human now. Let's all take care of her.
Here comes the human.
They're like, Edward has had a girlfriend for 2 weeks. We cannot mess this up. They're like, that boy has been lonely for 100 years and he finally has a girl. Nobody do anything to mess this up.
Yes.
She's part of the family forever. Like, could you imagine? Oh my god.
Could you imagine? No.
So now, now that she's part of the family, Edward has the right to sneak in her room while she's sleeping and watch her.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Because that's sane. That's what you do.
So she wakes up and's like, oh my god, you're watching me sleep? And he's all, it's just the thing I do. And she's all, well, come here, big boy. Let's cuddle. He's all, careful, I might drink your blood. And she's all, okay.
I don't care.
I don't care. So now that she's part of the family and he gets to watch her sleep, they also get to go play baseball.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And as they're playing baseball... See, vampires can only play baseball during a thunderstorm because it's so loud and they're so strong and so powerful that when they hit the baseball, it sounds exactly like thunder. It doesn't sound like a really, really big baseball hitting a bat. It just sounds exactly like thunder. It doesn't sound like a really loud, like, hit.
Crack or nothing.
Mm-mm. Yeah. Mm-mm. No. An act of nature is what it sounds like. It sounds like God bowling when these vampires play baseball.
God bowling. Oh, that's
Did
a
you ever
great
do
metaphor.
that when you were a kid? Did you ever, like, say that when it was thunderstorm?
No!
Be like, oh, it's God bowling. At least the kids at my school.
I was too afraid of thunder and lightning, so I was the kid in the corner reading a book.
The kids on my block would be like, oh, when it's thundering, it's God playing bowling. And just regular rain was just God peeing on us. That was the rule on our block.
Peeing on us.
Yeah. Yeah.
That I heard for sure.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, I'd like Edward to pee on me. Just kidding.
With the amount of stuff he's, like, done with Bella, I'm surprised. That's not one of his kinks, honestly.
Oh. Could you imagine?
I'm just saying.
Could you imagine going 100 years without...
peeing on somebody?
I never want to get that old without having experienced pissing on someone.
You haven't lived until it happens.
I don't want to reach my golden years without experiencing some golden showers. So anyways, they're playing baseball. And
oh yeah, back to that.
And then, I forgot to mention, in Forks, there have been a lot of people going missing. And they thought that it was like animal attacks, but they find out while they're playing baseball that it's really these three, like, nomad. Did you say nomad at the same time as me?
We might have, yeah.
Oh my gosh. I was thinking...
We're sinking.
Like, yeah, we're sinking. So these, like, nomad vampires that wander around, and it's Lamont, or Laurent, James and Victoria, who James and Victoria are lovers. In the vampire world, they might pass as siblings. You know what I mean?
Adopted siblings. I know.
What are you doing, stepbrother? So, James is like a hunter. So some vampires have like special skills, by the way. So like, that's something I forgot to mention. Edward can read everyone's mind except Bella's. That's why he's obsessed with her. Mm-hmm. And he loves her smell so much. That's why he's obsessed with her. So, they're meant to be. He gets to stalk her and hit her and, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So Alice can read the future. Do other ones have Carlisle's a doctor. That's like a special power, right?
He's like his insane compassion and empathy. How
come all of them aren't doctors? They've been around for hundreds of years.
I know,
they should all have a PhD by now. Come on. Cullens.
You would think.
You guys are all in high school and you have 10 high school diplomas and not one of you have a PhD.
Yeah.
That's embarrassing, actually, now that I think about it.
It's embarrassing. Twilight's getting roasted tonight. That's for sure. Bella's getting roasted.
We're all, tonight. And at the end, it gets 10 flicks. Just kidding.
Just wait until the end. I've got a great story. I can't wait.
So James is special power is he's like a really good hunter. That's like his thing. He can track anybody. He's like totally like his skills are like above like Simone Biles' expertise level of like top like goat level hunter. He is, right?
Yep.
He's not a goat hunter. He's the goat.
He's the goat
of hunters. Of human hunters.
Yes.
And so he decides that after Edward, so he sees Bella and it's like, oh, a human's with them playing baseball. I'm gonna eat her. And Edward's like, oh, how dare you? I love her.
Don't you dare touch her.
He's like, sorry, Bella, that I'm so angry all the time. I just have to protect you. And then he's like, oh, actually, the way I reacted made James really mad, and now he definitely is going to kill you.
Yeah.
So I wonder, Edward, if you were able to control yourself a little bit more, if maybe this whole situation wouldn't have happened. But, you know, you just keep doing what you're doing because you're right, Edward. I hate it. So then the hunt is on, dun, 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 and they rush Bella out of the field, and they're like trying to come up with this plan. Bella's like, he's gonna go get my dad. We gotta save Charlie, which, yeah, true. Like that's like
like save the innocent.
Like that's
man.
A legit like concern, right? Because obviously the first place he's gonna go is he's gonna follow her scent and it's gonna take it right back to her house. So of course he's going to see her dad and stuff. So they have to like lead him away from Forks. So what they do is she goes and she pretends to be all mad at Edward. It's like, oh my God, we broke up. Dad, I'm leaving right now. I'm moving back to Arizona and no one can stop me. And then she gets all her stuff and leaves. But as they're doing this, Alice gets a vision that James catches onto their plan and changes his course. And so now she can't see where he's going. But she sees that he ends up in a room full of mirrors. And so she's like drawing and she's like not looking at her paper. Like Alice's special skills not only is seeing the future, but she has a second special skill, which is she is like the number one Senso sketch player when you do Cranium, because she can look up and draw and have the picture be like completely perfect, and like her skill level is like above any like human, like that's a vampire level skill of being able to draw and looking up, because she drew this like perfect like ballet studio without looking at the paper. The lines and the dimensions are like exact. She didn't even use a ruler, you guys. This is talent. It's just straight talent.
My Alice.
And James ends up so Bella's like, oh my gosh, that's my old dance studio in Phoenix. And so James ends up, they find out he's in Phoenix. He calls Bella and she hears her mom's voice being like, oh my God, Bella, where are you? Where are you? And she's like, Mom, I'm going to go save you. And he's like, come alone. No vampires allowed. And so she's like, okay, I'm coming. This girl, why are you so dumb?
I know.
Okay, I'm coming with no vampires.
Like,
he can't read minds. He can't read the future. His skill is hunting. Why would you go without vampires?
Right.
They can hide. Anyway. So she, like, escapes from, like, Alice and Jasper, who were her babysitters. And goes and meets James. And she's in this immaculate, like,
very beautiful
Sistine Chapel level dance studio. I'm sorry. That was not your dance studio when you were 6 in Phoenix. That dance studio is like... That's like
in New York or something. It's
like in New York or something. It's like gorgeous. Right. That dance studio put the Abbey Lee Dance Company to shame.
Straight up. It was beautiful. That whole entire building.
And it's a shame because it is ruined. It gets destroyed.
Yeah.
It is a cathedral of a dance studio. These arched ceilings, the mirrors that go up like 60 feet high.
Right.
It's beautiful, but, you know, James starts throwing her Bella all around the room. She hits her head. He bites her arm. And then the Cullens come and save her. She, like... Edward has some serious anger management problems. In 100 years of being alive and having a medical professional as a mentor, the fact that you never once saw a therapist or a psychiatrist, like, there has to be vampire psychiatrists out there. Edward, you need help. You need help because he cannot control his anger at all. Bella watches him, like, destroy. And I guess it's because he had that human blood. He's like...
Right? That immature vampire blood.
Young, dangerous. So he, like, rips James's jugular out with his mouth.
Yeah, he does.
He's like, ah! And Carlisle's like, Edward, stop. Remember who you are. And Edward's like, you're right, father. I have to go turn Bella into my sister.
No. Oh, shit.
So then, like, for some reason, Edward's the only one strong enough to suck the venom out of Bella's arm. And he sucks out the venom, but then after he's done sucking out the venom, there's a little bit of blood in there too, so he's all, I'm gonna get a little snack while I'm at it. Like, and he's all,
just get a taste.
What if I can't stop? What if I want to kill her so bad that I can't stop killing her? I love her so much. What if I kill her? Dude, yikes. But anyways, he was able to stop himself from killing her. What a gentleman. And she ended up just in the hospital. And he was like, Bella, I'm too dangerous. You have to go back to Phoenix. And she's like, baby, you only snacked on my blood for a little bit. It's fine. You can have a little snack. You are hungry. Like, it's not my fault. I have such tasty blood. Let's go to prom. So Yay. They go to prom. And as they're dancing, she has one last conversation of, like, trying to convince him to turn her into a vampire.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And he was like, why can't you just grow old with me? Like, this whole situation is so dumb, because Edward is so selfish, first of all, to be like, I'm the only one who gets to stay hot and 17 for our whole lives. You should get old. But I think his plan's going to backfire, because if she gets much older, she's actually going to wisen up and realize that everything he's been doing is kind of like treating her really bad, and she would just break up with him and leave him if she actually ever became a woman. So he, like, being a naive little child is kind of the only way you can do these things, and the girls still fall in love with you.
True. Yeah. Can speak.
So she's like, turn me into a vampire. I'm already 17. Every day I get closer to death.
Please, daddy.
Please, daddy. She's like, I'm gonna be such an old hag. I'm 17 already. Like, oh my god. And he's like, let's just dance. And he's like, oh, you want to turn into a vampire? and he like leans in really close to her neck and like kisses her on the neck. And then I'm like, oh my god.
Oh my
That's
god.
hot. Oh my god. The end.
Wow.
To be continued.
Yes, to be continued.
So that's Twilight, the part 1 of the Twilight saga.
Did you read the books?
I read the books, yeah.
Okay.
I read the books in high school.
Did you feel the same way when you were reading the books?
No. So when I was 16, 17 reading the books, I was like, oh my god, Edward. I love Edward so much.
Right? Like
I just want someone to protect me. Ugh. I just want someone to love me so much that they want to sneak into my room and watch me sleep at night.
watch me sleep all night.
Which is why, like I said, when you're 16, like when for Bella, yeah, that works. But if she grew up anymore, like she probably wouldn't like Edward that much anymore. Because now, like seriously, watching this movie, like go back and I swear there are more times that he's just straight up mean to her.
Oh,
than
yeah, absolutely.
any time that he's doing anything that would make her fall in love with him. So how does she fall in love? Like, by the point that she's like, oh my god, I love you, in the movie, I'm like, how? Like, at what point?
Where did you get there?
Where did you start having romantic feelings for him? Because there was nothing. It was really hard for me to buy, like, just as a movie itself, it was just hard for me to buy that character, like, getting to a point to fall in love with Edward, because he was so awful to her for so long that it's like, it just makes no sense. There was no point. He bought her dinner one time. And by the way,
right,
when he was at dinner with her, he was like, oh, I can read minds, and telling her that everyone in the restaurant only thinks about sex or money.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That is so dumb. Like,
that was pretty bad.
Bella, you're special. You're the only one in the world who doesn't think about sex or money. I'm sorry. Humans are much more complicated than that, Stephenie Meyer. The whole world doesn't just have that one thing on their mind. Like, oh my god. I guess Bella's just different. I guess she's just different, you know?
Yeah. It's just funny, like, because I see the points that you're making, and I'm still that, like, God, what? I was 14 when I read Twilight. I was so gullible. I was for it. I was with it. And then,
Me too.
As I got older, because like I said, I just watched the whole series like a month ago, 2 months ago. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like, the directive, like, decisions they made, I was so upset about. But not only that, then reading Midnight Sun, I was like, whoa. I see why Stephenie Meyer did not want to release Midnight Sun, because it just makes Edward out to be this absolute creep. And, like, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it because I'm weird like that. Like, you know, it's like a weird, call it a fetish if you want. I don't care. But, like, that's probably what it is. It's like that daddy issue, like, someone protect me. Oh my god.
Oh, I totally feel that. Like,
so no, I'm still like gullible to it.
I was saying it as a joke earlier, but no, but if there are any guys out there that want to protect me, like, hit me up. No, I'm just kidding. Yes.
What would you rate it? What would you rate the movie?
The movie? I would seriously... Okay. Solely for its, like... like, okay. I'm gonna give it 2 different ratings. The first one is for its, like, entertainment value.
Okay.
Which it's gonna get, like, for entertainment and rewatch, I'd give it a 10 out of 10 flicks.
That's fair.
But as far as, like, actual, like, is it a good movie? 3. I'm giving it a 3 out of 10.
That's fair.
But rewatch value, skyrocket through the roof. Like,
yes.
What about you?
I think I'd have to give the movie a flat 2 out of 10 flicks. I hated the direction. It was so bad.
I hated it.
I hated it. I give the
First
books
of all,
10 out of 10. Easily. I love, like, those books. I love them.
I loved the books as I read them. I feel like
Yeah.
as if I were to go back and read it now as an adult, I might have a different opinion on reading them just because I don't think Edward's that much different.
From the movie to the book, yeah.
But also just this movie, there's no other movie that makes me hate love so much because it's like, you really gonna use love
as
an excuse to put up with all of this shit?
Mm-hmm.
Like, girl, that is sad, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, Stephanie, I hope your husband isn't like Edward.
I hope he doesn't treat her the way Edward treats
Yeah,
Bella.
I just had that thought, and like, yikes.
Like,
and
once
like
Bella gets turned into a vampire, he's not that way, you know.
Jacob
anymore.
is like really nice to her.
He is.
And loves her. And then she has a baby, and he's like, oh wait, never mind. I never loved you. It was just the egg.
Kidding.
I loved your egg. And then now I love your baby.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
Lord.
but that's in another movie.
That was a good movie to pick, my friend. So good. Yeah, I feel like we released a lot.
Yeah, I think we had to get that off our chest. So
agreed.
All right.
Okay. Are we ready for the click?
Yes, let's do it. Let's move on.
Oh, sorry. I'm nervous.
Oh wait,
this is
let me pour my tea.
fair. Let me grab some water. Oh. Okay. So this week's click is Final Fantasy X. They have a total of 15 games out, but 10 is my favorite.
I know. Okay, when you say they have 15 games out, are you including the Kingdom Hearts games, or do those count completely separate?
I count them separately just because they don't have, like,
they're not
the Final Fantasy name. Yeah, they're not in the plot line and in, like,
okay,
the general
because
series,
the Kingdom Hearts game is the only experience I have with the Final Fantasy world.
Fair. That's fair.
So I am excited to hear. I watched some videos on it, but I am a complete novice to this world and to these characters, so I'm super excited.
I am too. I'm gonna try to make this as quick as I can because it's a very long game, and I leave a lot of stuff out just for the simple fact that, like, not as important to get the story across. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it was released in 2001 on the PS2, and I believe it was one disc. I had the original. I think it was just one disc, and they had a budget of $32 million. Can you believe that?
That's more than Space Sweepers.
That's more than Space Sweepers. That's why I put that in there, because I was like, and this was 2001. What it said was in 2021 it'd be 50 million. But
okay.
But it's a Japanese RPG role-playing game. It is turn-based fighting, which a lot of people, especially native to, like, the beginning parts of Final Fantasy, loved. Mm-hmm. It was the last game to have turn-based fighting in. And a lot of people also really hate the turn-based fighting.
So, Final Fantasy X was the first one since the first game that had turn-based fighting. Is that what you said? Or did I misunderstand that?
The Final Fantasy X is the last game to have the turn-based fighting system, like all the other Final Fantasies before it.
They all were turn-based, and then until 11.
Correct.
Oh, correct. Interesting. I like turn-based.
Yeah, and I feel like it's a good strategy game, and also you can take time to think about it.
Yeah.
So I enjoy that. And it was also, Final Fantasy X was the first Final Fantasy game to feature full voice acting and complete 3D world, which I thought was super cool because all the games prior had minimal to no voice acting whatsoever.
The first Final Fantasy game, or like the first game?
The first
of the Final Fantasies.
Of the Final Fantasy series, yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. And so in the beginning of the game, when you start it up, you start and you see it's what we call is a cutscene. So it's where the cinematics really take over, and it's a very beautiful shot. And it's not like the typical gameplay you see. So that's what a cutscene is. You start with a band of the band of people that you end up meeting throughout the game, but they you get this like panned shot of them all sitting around a campfire, and all of their weapons kind of symbolically like gathered in the center, just kind of all sticking up out of the ground. And it's at sunset, and Titus gets up from the party and walks over kind of just to stare off at the sunset, and he goes, "Listen to my story. This may be our last chance." And that's how it starts, and then continues to go into kind of the preface of like what the meat of the beginning of this game is. So he's on a boat. It cuts from that scene, and it goes on to him on a boat with a bunch of screaming fans asking for his autograph because he's a big blitzball player, which blitzball is like a mixture of like soccer and basketball and this whole thing, but they play underwater.
It's like
which
the
is
sport
cool.
of their
Yeah,
world.
they're like, of Spira.
It's like their baseball.
Very, very big. And so you get this preface of him being a huge blitzball player, and then it starts. then you get this beautiful cinematic scene of him sitting in the waiting water, just like waiting to go out into the beginning of the field and play the game. And you play the blitzball game, and you kind of see like ins and outs of this character who's wearing a red robe coming in and out of the scene. And then you start to see this big ball of water start to form just outside of the city where they're playing blitzball. Titus sees this ball forming, and everybody panics and runs. And they just run for the hills. He ends up getting out of the arena and meeting up with the guy in the red robe, whose name is Oron. And he knows Titus because he was his dad's friend. Titus's dad's friend. Okay. But they go on, and they're going through this ravaged city of chaos while this big ball of water with a whale-like enemy in it is sitting.
It's like floating, or it's like on the water?
It's like floating. It's floating. Everything's like gravitating towards it. It's like its own entity at this point.
Okay.
It's strange. This whole game is strange, but I love it. So they continue on. Once they meet up, they go through the ravaged town to go try to defeat whatever this like giant orb of water is. So come to find out, along their escapades of running and trying to defeat this thing, Oron is telling Titus, "Hey, this orb is sin, and sin is basically this giant whale, this disgusting whale that wreaks havoc on all of this world that is Spira." And
so I have a question.
Go for it.
Is it sin spelled like S-I-N or like S-Y-N?
S-I-N.
Okay, so sin, and it's like a sea monster?
Yep. Yeah, that's what I attribute it to look like. It's not really...
Okay.
Yeah. That's just the best way to explain it.
But it's like its own, like it's just looks different. It's like a weird monster.
Yeah, it's like a whale. It's got like a pointed head. It's weird. Yeah. And all right.
Daddy.
Sin daddy. So Oron's trying to explain that this is sin, and this is something that needs to be defeated and killed, and it's bad, okay? It's bad, okay? And Oron's saying a bunch of off the wall random shit, like things that you're like, bro, like I know you're trying to tell me something, but like makes sense. So he's doing that also the whole time. And they make their way through a bunch of fiends, make their way up to Sin, and Sin's got a butthole. Okay? He's got a butthole hovering over them. I'm calling it a butthole. I don't know if that's his butthole. But
a blowhole? I've got a blowhole.
A blowhole. Daddy.
Daddy.
So Oron goes over to the butthole, looks up at it, and he goes, "Are you sure?" And he looks at Tidus, and Tidus is like, "Oh, what?" And like, he pulls Tidus over, and he's like, gosh, what does he say? He's just like, "Oh, this is your story," or something. Yeets him into the fucking butthole.
Easy. This is my first time.
This is my first rodeo, okay?
Go easy.
Go easy. So he yeets him and Oron himself into the butthole, into infinity and beyond.
He jumps into, he throws him and jumps
in. Yeah. They both just, yep.
There's only one way to defeat the beast, from inside.
It's true. Through the butthole.
Through the butthole.
And mind you, Tidus's father, his name is Jekt. So Oron is Jekt's best friend. Okay. There's a quick little scene of Tidus like talking to his dad. His dad's a fucking asshole. He's calling him like a crybaby. He's like doing the typical dad shit that, is not okay. Just like telling him to buck up and man up.
Dads, do better. Come on.
Do better. Come on. Don't be a fucking butthole of sin here. Okay?
You are a butthole of sin.
And, so after this whole spiel, this whole emotional spiel, Tidus wakes up in some ruins, and he gets captured by Albed. And Albed is just this race of people who speak a different language. They can speak English too, but they use forbidden machina, so machinery. They use forbidden machines. Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah. And the whole world Spira is supposed to be known for not using machines, because that's what pisses Sin off. You use machines, and Sin's like, "Hey, I don't like that," and then it creates a ripple effect,
So he's like against progression.
Right.
Right.
Or power.
Or like any kind of technology, like moving forward or anything. Interesting.
Right. And so once he gets captured by the Albed, they bring him onto their ship, and they're speaking this different language, and then one of the Albed takes her helmet off, and it's Riku. Riku's a pivotal character. And she's cute. She's got this little, like, short blonde hair. She's got green eyes with little swirls in it. She's my favorite character, by the way. But you meet her briefly, and she's just kind of, like, going along with this ride of, like, Tidus is just a pawn in the game. It feels really weird, this, like, little transition point. But, Tidus brings up to Riku, he's like, "Hey, I'm a Xanarkand blitzball player." And she's like, "Xanarkand died. Like, that happened 1,000 years ago. Like, who are you?"
Oh. He's
and
like the last airbender.
Yeah, I know. Stop. I just started watching Legend of Korra.
Love it.
I know.
I want to live in that world.
I need to finish it. Me too. And she was like,
do that movie. That would be a funny movie to do.
I'm down. I'm so down. God, I haven't watched it in forever. So she's like, since you've been around Sin, it can mess with your head. It makes you fuzzy. And he was like, "Oh, okay, got it." And their boat reaches Besaid, which is a beautiful tropical island where you meet Waka, which is another pivotal character. He's kind of like this, like, forgive me, they made him and characterized him with a Hawaiian accent. So I consider, like, these people that are on this island Hawaiian because of their
Oh, okay. That's like how
yeah, that's how they're
even though it's like a fantasy world, that's like the culture they were like based off of.
Right.
Okay. They're like islanders.
Exactly. And there was a brief meeting with Waka. Again, Titus brings up that he's a Xanarkand blitzball player. And Waka's like, oh my god, we play blitzball too. And then Titus is like, oh, Xanarkand. And he was like, no, bro, 1,000 years ago, like that blew up. Just to reiterate.
How is he still playing it from 1,000 years ago? How did he...
That's the thing.
Did he get frozen in an iceberg?
No, he showed up after he went through the butthole of sin, he came out into these ruins where he was, he went through a few little trials and then got captured by the Albed.
So it was all going through, it was because he went through the butthole.
Sin's butthole, yeah.
Wow.
I know. Buttholes be wild, man.
Buttholes, it'll really do a number on you.
Honestly. They mention that there's a temple on Besaid where a summoner comes to pray to the faith at this temple. And they receive an Aeon from this temple. And an Aeon is like a creature / monster that you get to summon and control in battle. Basically what that is. And so they go there, and Yuna is this character, an apprentice summoner that has gone into the temple and hasn't come out yet. So Waka's kind of like freaking out because Waka and the girl that you meet on Besaid, her name is Lulu. They're both Yuna's guardians. So they're kind of like her bodyguards.
Okay.
And they're freaking out because Yuna hasn't come out of the temple yet. And then when she does, she just kind of like stumbles out. And they're like, oh my god. And Yuna's
they're like, oh my god, can't you watch where you're walking?
Right? But she comes out. And she's like, oh my god.
She's like,
so tired from praying.
I've been
praying so much. But she gets her first Aeon after this temple. They all kind of get acquainted. So Lulu and Waka all talk to Titus and kind of get familiar with each other. And then they set off on Yuna's pilgrimage, which is her pilgrimage basically is to defeat sin. Basically. And her father was a summoner before her. And Oron, again, the main guy in the beginning that was talking to Titus, and Titus's father were the guardians of Yuna's father. Okay. So they were all tied together. Yeah, they're all like...
So now... Okay, so his father was her father's guardian, but he's
Correct.
Not her guardian. She has other guardians.
Not yet. She asked him to become her guardian later. Yeah.
Spoiler.
I know. It's a really cute game that way, though. I love it that way. Okay.
But right now, her guardians are Waka and Lulu.
Waka and Lulu, and...
I almost said Wawa and Lulu.
Wawa and Woo-Woo.
Wawa and Woo-Woo.
They basically, Waka, asked Titus to come play blitzball with them at this big tournament at this city. And he says, yeah, of course. So they all gather up and they go play blitzball. And this is just before they start on this pilgrimage with Yuna. And they meet the game asshole, Seymour. You meet him, and he's ugly. I hate him. He is a terribly designed character. I can't even describe to you what he looks like. He's horrible.
Who would play him? So I can get an idea of what he looks like.
I'll come back to you on that because that is a great question, actually.
Okay.
Ooh, I'm gonna have to think on that.
Okay.
But you meet him, and he's got a very feminine voice, very airy and light. But the way he talks, it's like sultry and like seductive almost. I hate it.
Like creepy, like crawl under your skin.
Yeah, I hate it. Well, anyway, Maester Seymour is part of a religious group called Yevon. Yevon is basically the religion that's like, hey, no machines, no forbidden machines. So they're the ones that try to defeat sin over and over again to restore the calm, you know.
But they're the ones who don't like machines.
Yeah.
So they kind of agree with sin.
Right.
They both don't like machines.
Right. Exactly.
So it seems they have more in common than they thought. Maybe they don't need to fight all the time. Just kidding.
Right? Little do you know. This story is just wild. It's crazy.
Or did I watch a video before? Just kidding. I do know little. Little do I know, actually.
Touche. But they do the blitzball game, and they end up, you can win it or lose it, whatever you choose. And basically Seymour has the hots for Yuna. So after the blitzball game, they kind of have a little tidbit. You get the vibe that Maester Seymour wants that ass. Okay, creepily by that. Before they start on the pilgrimage, Yuna then asks Oron to join the Guardian group. And they do a little bit of opening up in this scene where Yuna tells, kind of just explains herself like, hey, I'm half Al-Bhed. And here's the thing. Waka is very religious with Yevon, and the Al-Bhed are forbidden, in that religion because they use machines. So Waka doesn't know this part, technically, but Yuna says she's half Al-Bhed on her mom's side. Her mom was Al-Bhed. That's important later on. Then Oren tells Titus that the whole monster sin is Titus's father, Jacked. And you're like, what? Like, how is sin Titus's father? Like, what? Excuse me?
What?
Yeah. So
his father, who was the guard?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Became sin.
So basically in the pilgrimage, the summoner goes to their goal is to kill. What happened?
He went in his dad's butthole.
I'm glad you said something because I wasn't going to say anything. Yeah.
He went in his dad's butthole.
Mm-hmm. That's why he has a vision of his father right after going into a butthole. It's wild, man. I know.
If there are any buttholes I don't want to see,
it's my father's.
Adam Sandler's and my dad's.
So they continue on the pilgrimage after they have this conversation, and Yuna tells Titus that when she summons the final Aeon, so once they get towards the end of her pilgrimage to defeat sin, she will have to sacrifice the Aeon in order to defeat sin. And Titus is so gung-ho, he's like, don't worry, we'll help you. We're gonna party after you defeat sin. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be so fantastic. And there's so much hope in his voice, and Yuna's so solemn about it, Because your Aeons are like your pets. Like, they're important to you. You definitely get attached to them.
It's just so hard for me not to say, he's going to sacrifice himself.
No, you can't. So on during the line of pilgrimage, they also find out that Seymour now supports the Machina to destroy sin, which goes against his teachings, right? You're like, why the fuck? First of all,
Okay,
Yeah.
so now they want to use... So he's use that to defeat him.
Seymour, yes. He's like, oh, we'll just use machines. We'll just try it. And yeah, it's I know, it's a little off the rocker.
That's suspicious.
That's weird. And anyway, that whole support system turned into a brigade of people lining up on the seashore with machines to kill Sin. Sure enough, Sin shows up.
And that's because it's like basically like a lure.
You're summoning him.
It's like, oh, hey, everybody come bring all your best, like...
Right. So, yeah, they used a bunch of machines, and sure enough, Sin shows up, kills mostly everyone. That's fancy. And Yuna, because she is a summoner, the good thing about her is that she can take... So once these people die, they have lingering souls. And those souls, eventually, if they're not sent to the far plane, which is, basically the other world.
Heaven.
Yeah. Okay. They can kind of conjure themselves to look like normal walking humans and fine. But if they... Yeah. But she knows a bunch of people. It was a huge casualty. She does a does a prayer and starts to send them to the far plane, which is really sad. That whole like scene is horrible because you have to go around and you'll see a bunch of dead people. It's really sad.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's rough. And then after the casualty, they get to a point where they have to ride a large dinosaur that's called a shoe puff. It's really cute. It's like a long neck mixed with like an elephant. It's really cute.
Aww.
Yeah. But you get on this little basket on the shoe puff and you take it across the lake. That's how you get to the other side of the, basically the trail that you're following. And sure enough, that gets overrun by Albed, surprisingly. Mm-hmm. And Yuna gets captured. And they're all freaking out. And eventually they meet up onto the other shore, the other side. And Yuna's kind of like deployed off onto the beach, and then the Albed step up. Sure enough, it's Riku. She's like, "Hi, I'm making an appearance again," and we're like, "Oh my god!" Titus is like, "Yay! Like I love Riku. I'm glad you're back." And unbeknownst to most of the party, Riku is Yuna's cousin, Albed. Remember, Yuna's half Albed. Just saying.
On her mother's side.
On her
mother's side.
So, fast forward a little bit. Seymour proposes to Yuna after they reach the grotto, like the little area he lives. It's nasty. It's gross. It's disgusting.
I was gonna say,
yeah. Mm. Yeah, it's nasty. So he proposes to her, and she's like, "I gotta think on this. I'll get back to you." She goes and consults her dead parents because she goes into this little like time warp spot and they go through and you can talk to your dead family. And they're like, just do it. So she accepts his proposal. I don't know why. He's disgusting. And after she accepts, Titus is talking to the rest of the party and he's like, "But I love her." And you're like, I figured. Come on now. One person I forgot to mention. Love what?
Anything for love. You gotta do anything for love.
I completely skipped over Kamari. Kamari's this cat, kind of like lion-esque, kind of character. Mm-hmm. Completely skipped over him. My bad. He's definitely in the Guardian party, by the way. He's got a little cut off horn, but he looks like a cat in the face. Okay. And then he's like super built, super ripped.
Okay.
He's definitely dead set on protecting Yuna. So after he proposes, she accepts, blah, blah, blah. Seymour randomly, like, just decides to fight them. And is like, "Hey, we're fighting now." And they're like, "Okay.
We're fighting."
So they defeat him, of course. He doesn't He dies, but he walks away.
Seymour?
So,
Or
Seymour. So he dies. He's technically an unsent at this point. So he's a walking dead man. You know what I mean? So
he's
you know,
like
where
the kind of person who didn't go to the far plains.
Yeah.
When he died, he can ooh.
Mm-hmm.
I knew there was something up with that guy.
Right?
I knew there was something up with that guy. I just didn't know what.
A little weird. Let me make sure I'm not missing a page. Good Lord.
Good Lord.
I'm almost done, though. That's good. Okay. So, fast forward after they fight Seymour. They're like, okay, bye. We're going to continue the pilgrimage. They arrive at Riku's home city, which is in the desert. Like, barren desert. And they come up over the crest of the hill and see that her entire, like, homeland is being destroyed. And in this time, because they kind of got, like, transported off of the pilgrimage into this little oasis, and Yuna was missing. They didn't know where she went. Technically, the Al Bhed took her because they're trying to protect her from killing herself at the end of the, the pilgrimage, or at least hurting herself, And so once they arrive to her town, Riku confesses that ultimately Yuna will die. Like, regardless. She's going to die at the end of her pilgrimage, and they've been trying to prevent her from killing herself.
Yeah. She's going to sacrifice herself.
She's going to sacrifice herself. I'm trying not to say it. I'm trying. No, you can't. And Riku's been trying to kidnap her this whole time, which is why they've been ambushed by Al Bhed numerous times. And they couldn't save the city. It ends up completely crashing around them. But luckily, Riku's dad has an airship, so they hop into a pew-pew ship. And they go into the air. And they're safe. Just the rest of the Al Bhed all died. So, that was not good. And her dad's name is Sid. Sid, if you don't already know, Sid is a very common name used in any Final Fantasy game. Every single Final Fantasy game, there's a Sid.
It's like Josh. Everyone's named Sid.
Yeah. They think Yuna is being held captive by Seymour now at this point, because they didn't find her at the Al Bhed's place. So they rush in the airship to go find her, and they go back to the city where Seymour was, Bavel. And they crash their wedding. They get it. They're in the ship, and they see literally Yuna and Seymour walking up to the altar together. Like, and
when you say Yuna, crash the wedding, you mean they actually crash their ship into the
wedding?
They crash the wedding.
I think it's pretty spot on. I think they do some damage, But yeah, they go up to stop Seymour and stop the marriage, and they cause a bunch of ruckus. Yuna's standing, for some reason, they're on the highest pillar in the city. It's all the way up in the sky. Mm-hmm. And Yuna's standing at the edge of her altar. And she just goes back and flings herself back and falls off the altar to avoid
She's being married to herself.
Not me! Not
me!
Yo! Damn it, I knew it was coming. I knew I had to say it.
Wait, what is... Once I make my move, then you're free to check the king.
No, Rob, you can't! There must be another way! So... She falls.
No,
everybody. No. You can't. Sorry. They go and save her, or they try to. They're running and scrambling to go get her. But her Aeon comes. She summons her Aeon mid-fall, and her Aeon comes and swoops her up. Yeah, super fucking
She had a
badass
plan
moment.
the whole time.
Right. She knew. So after her Aeon saves her, guess what?
What?
Seymour attacks the party again. Okay, you're gonna get real tired of hearing that. After
double-crossed him.
Yeah. After they defeat him a second time, they move on. They go into this woody area, and Tidus is like, Yuna, I love you. And they have this beautiful kissing scene in the woods. And it's a cutscene, and it's stunning. It's beautiful. Just. Mwah.
And she's like,
Great.
how long have you been?
Ow, fuck.
He's like, 1,000 years.
1,000 years. Ow. I hit my elbow, damn it.
Sorry.
No. So after they have this beautiful romantic scene, guess what happens again? Seymour attacks again. And he's back stronger than ever, and you're like, fuck off.
No way.
No way. And Tidus is told in a dream that he has that everyone that has come in contact with Sin, so Oron, Yuna's dad, Yunalesca, Seymour, like all these characters, not including Yuna, Riku, and Waka and all them, but Oron specifically, that they're all just a fucking dream. They're all alive because Sin... let me just explain it that way. It's going to get complicated if I try to do it otherwise. It's just a dream. Wow. Tidus is just a dream, like Oron and all of them. Okay?
So
keep that in
his
mind.
Dad's butthole is a dream?
It's a dream. He didn't actually go through his butthole.
But he's not dreaming. He's dreaming of his dad's butthole.
Yes, correct. So basically what's happening, who's dreaming are these what they're called faith. And they're kind of like these higher heavenly beings, kind of, if you want to use them that way.
Like angels or...
Yeah.
Or like...
they're like angels.
Or like the fates, like the 3 fates.
No, definitely more like angels. Because there's a bunch of them.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, I guess it could be fates. I see what you're saying. But yeah, they're all dreaming, and Tidus and Oron and all of them are just player parts, okay? And at the end of his little what's the word I'm looking for? Flash scene here. They revisit the scene that was in the very beginning of the game, where all the team is just sitting down around a campfire at sunset, and they replay that entire scene, which is very sweet. And so the final leg of the pilgrimage, you have to meet this lady called Yunalesca. She's literally Lady Yunalesca. That's Seymour's mother, okay? She's the big bitch. She's the big honcho at the end of the road that you have to defeat to push yourself to get through Sin, okay? She's a bitch, and once they reach her, she's like, hey, you need to sacrifice one of your guardians.
He's going to sacrifice himself!
I wrote like sacrifice is enlarged. It's huge. Oh Lord. And
do you want to stop Snape from getting that stone or not?
Oh shit. And so what plays here is Oron is reliving the time when he was with Yuna's dad and they came across Yunalesca. Jecht, Tidus' father, sacrificed himself in this situation. Mm-hmm. So that's why he is Sin, because he sacrificed himself. But in this situation, in a day and age, like this new day and age, Yuna's like, no, I'm not sacrificing any of you. So we're going to kill you. to break the
Smart.
cycle. Mm-hmm. And they kill Yunalesca.
Whoever she sacrificed would have became Sin.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yep. They kill Yunalesca, but Sin is still very much alive. Because she was just a trial to get to Sin. And they realize that Sin becomes stunned when this certain hymn
touch its butthole.
When you just,
When you
do a
just
little
like
rim
that.
spot.
Just a little pinky.
When you're singing a hymn into his butthole, he stuns himself. And they picked up on it, so they told everybody. Yes. They get everybody. They get everybody to sing the hymn, and it's beautiful, and it's getting Sin to eject. It's getting to, he's kind of like lulled by it,
Like all the Who's down in Whoville.
Oh God.
So sweet. That's so wholesome.
Right?
I love
a little
that.
bit.
I love that singing is the cure.
Right.
Music is magic.
It is, very much. This game has beautiful music, by the way. So once they enter Sin's area after being lulled by the hymn, they see Seymour again, and they fight him for the 5th or 4th time. I lost count by this point. They defeat him, of course, thankfully, and Yuna now knows that he's still an unsent. That he hasn't gone to the far plane. So she's like, bitch, I'm gonna take my horse to the old town. And she sent him. Bye. I can't tell you how, relieving it is to just defeat him that last time.
Mm-hmm.
And so they fight the almighty Sin. And basically what happens in this fight scene is it's Sin. It's Yuna's father, Braska. It's Yunalesca. It's like a whole bunch of entities combined that you have to kill. And in order to kill Sin, you have to use every single Aeon that Yuna had picked up along her pilgrimage, which is, there's extra Aeons in the game, so you might have 10 to sacrifice, and you've got to fight them all. Mm-hmm. And they all die, and it is it's
my God, that is evil.
It's
for a game to make you get all of these companions and then send them to die one by one.
I know.
No.
It's sad because she has a cutscene with each of them. She rubs their head, is very sweet. It's hard. It being as young as I was when I played this game, it was rough. And Sin's dead, which is fantastic. And after Sin is dead, Auron then turns to Yuna and is like, hey, I'm unsent as well. Can you send me back to the far plane? As if killing all of the Aeons wasn't enough, Auron is a really good character. He is an amazing character. So she sends him and she says goodbye. And they're on
I think I'll miss you most of all.
Yeah. And they're on the airship at this point, and Tidus is slowly fading away because he's part of the dream sequence. So he's becoming translucent, and Yuna tries to stop him.
So even though they're in love, he's just a dream.
Yeah. Yeah.
What a shame.
And she runs
all
through
the good ones, you know what I mean?
All the good ones.
All the good guys are just dreams.
At least he didn't watch her while she slept, that we know of. And he...
Can a dream watch you as you sleep? Or is that...
Did we just break reality? Because that's probably what it feels like. Now I'm not going to be able to sleep.
Or my dreams are going to watch me.
Something, right? So Tidus flies off into the abyss underneath the airship. and they're all really sad. And that's like where it stops. And then there's a quick little scene of him waking up at the bottom of the ocean and swims up to the surface with a giant ass smile on his face. And the game ends.
Of the dream?
We don't know. Well, yeah. Because there's a part 2 of this game.
Or maybe him
I don't want to give it away.
going to... Oh, right. Because we're not getting into the part 2.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it just ends that way, and it leaves you wondering. You're like, what?
Wondering
the fuck?
like what's gonna happen? What is he really, and what is his like purpose?
Yep. It's a really great game, and I tried to
hope
do.
They get back together.
I would love that. They're a really cute little couple. I would honestly, this game is my all-time favorite Final Fantasy game. And I give it an easy 9 out of 10 clicks because it's so close to my heart.
I have to ask
a million times.
What's like it missing a click for? Because you've given it 10 clicks before.
I have. Did I give the 10? I gave it to a video game, didn't I?
To Mass Effect.
Oh, shit. That's right.
So do you like this game one less than Mass Effect?
No. The only reason, I think the main reason why I would give it one less point is the graphics. Because it was 2001. Like, it's
fair.
But
fair.
To be fair, I have bought that game on every console it's come out on. Because they've remastered it a bunch of times. But the graphics, yeah, it has to do it for me.
I don't feel like I can give a fair rating for this game this time because I didn't play it. But that being said, I just based on story alone,
it's a lot. I know it's a lot, and there's more. Like I cut out so much shit.
Yeah, I'm going to give it like 11 clicks out of 10.
No way.
Yeah, because I'm feeling generous. You know, I had a few clicks to spare. I had some extra, so I'm just going to throw them toward this one. 11 clicks.
No. Stop. I'm going to cry. I love this game so much. Oh. And it's well deserved. Like I know there's a lot of hype of other Final Fantasy games, but this one it's really good. Well, that concludes this week's episode.
Yeah.
And thanks for listening / watching.
Thanks. We would love to hear from you guys.
Yes.
Let us know what you think. Let us know if you like Twilight or Final Fantasy X. If you agree with us, you know, email us if you have any suggestions or
comments, questions, or concerns. Yeah.
Or concerns. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if you just want to talk, you know, we're here to listen.
That too. Absolutely. Absolutely. But I guess we'll catch you guys in the next episode.
Yeah. We'll see you then.
All right. Bye-bye.
Peace.
Peace and love.